Late on Christmas night 1980, an event took place near the joint US Air Force NATO twin bases RAF Bentwaters and RAF Woodbridge in Suffolk, southwest England, that would go down in history as Britain's greatest UFO mystery, called the Rendlesham Forest Incident. Rendlesham Forest lies between the twin bases, and 1980 was a sensitive period during the Cold War, so military security would have been extremely rigid. The following story is a full account of what happened on that December evening in 1980, so let's take a look at the mysterious case of the Rendlesham Forest Incident. In a 2016 interview, USAF police officer Steve Leggero claims that at the time of the Rendlesham Forest incident in 1980, he was part of a team of personnel that guarded the US weapons store and recounted the events that night. He states that the first sign that something strange was happening was when something had activated the extremely sophisticated hazard alarm systems across the base, and then a series of lights started to appear over the treetops. A short time later, guards reported seeing lights so bright they feared an aircraft had crashed. A three-man patrol from the 81st Security Police Squadron were immediately dispatched to the area to inspect the possible crash. They were Sergeant Jim Penniston, Airman John Burrows, and Airman Ed Kappensag. However, what they found was not a crashed aircraft, but something totally unexpected: a UFO. The first sighting was of a small metallic craft moving through the trees that had landed in a small clearing. It was a triangular-shaped craft with blue and yellow lights swirling around the exterior, and the air around it gave off static electricity, making their hair stand up. The craft made no sound at all, and Penniston states that nothing in his training prepared him for what he was witnessing, as he had never seen anything like it before. After about 10 minutes, he determined that the craft was not hostile and decided to move closer. They then did a full physical examination of the craft, and Penniston felt overwhelmed by astonishment and awe. Strangely though, Penniston claims that he had felt no fear at all. He then proceeded to take notes. On one side of the craft were strange markings that resembled Egyptian hieroglyphics. As such, they were pictorial in design, and the largest symbol was a triangle. They were etched into the surface of the craft. He then made some quick sketches in his police notebook. Penniston then touched the surface where it felt warm, and the surface was as smooth as glass, yet had the texture of metal. What happened to Penniston next was even more mysterious, when, after feeling a constant low voltage running through his hand, then up his arm, a communication of codes was mentally transferred to him after touching the craft's hieroglyphs. The mental images activated a technology which was unknown to him, a technology that communicated a series of ones and zeros. The communication transfer was accomplished within minutes. There was an area of about 15 feet which surrounded the outside of the craft like a bubble. Within this bubble, static electricity pulsed upon his clothes, skin and hair. Also, an appearance of slowing of time. The air seemed dead, not transmitting any sound. The whole time the craft remained totally silent. After around 45 minutes, the light from the craft began to intensify, and they took defensive positions away from the craft as it lifted off the ground, without any noise or air disturbance. It manoeuvred through the trees and shot off at unbelievable speed, and was gone in the blink of an eye. Where he wrote in his logbook, "Speed impossible." Later, Penniston states, "What I once believed is no more, and what I've witnessed defies all that I've ever imagined. I am truly in awe over the whole incident, and no one can fully understand the magnitude of such an event unless you were there. News of the UFO encounter was brought to the attention of Base Commander Lieutenant Charles Holt, who was totally skeptical about the whole incident, but had the witnesses write up their descriptions along with any sketches of what they'd seen.